Okay, we'll go ahead and bring the city council meeting to order. I'd like to first ask everyone to stand and join in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Aaron, can you please do roll call?
Jenny Bowers Schultz.
Here.
Matt Dyer.
Here.
Tyler Fulenkamp.
Here.
Scott Murray.
Here.
Abby Wilder.
Here.
Okay, was everyone given a chance to review the minutes from last week on October 28th? Any corrections, deletions?
Motion to accept him as email.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. All right, I think we have a couple resolutions this week. One is the reappointment of RDA members. The RDA is the Regional Development Authority in Fort Wayne. They hand out they oversee the grant funding for Ready Funds and some other funding sources. And they're just asking to reappoint the same 5 members. They're asking all of the cities and counties in the 11 counties in Northeast Indiana to reappoint these same members. The members are James Kahn, Jeff Turner, Bob Marshall, Andrew Briggs, and Gene Donaghy. Andrew's obviously from Geneva, and Gene Donaghy's from Austin area. So these have been the members we've had, and they're just asking for a reappointment.
So every county that is a part of RDA approves a resolution to this effect, and then once the county resolutions become effective, any second or third class city within the 11 participating counties also receives a resolution. So if council can, and it's a resolution by the mayor, so if council can approve reappointment of the proposed RDA members and authorize the mayor to sign, that would be a sufficient motion for this.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So we need to read the resolution.
All right, and then we'll go ahead and it'll be resolution
14.
14.
All right. Resolution, do we need to, well, it's already been approved, so.
Oh.
Resolution 25-14, a resolution of the City of Decatur, Indiana, approving the appointment of the members of the board for the Northeast Indiana Regional Development Authority. So, you've already been given approval to sign it.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, is this for 1 year or 4 years, or how long of a time period?
Do you remember what it said? I don't remember. 4 years.
Okay, cool.
It's a 4-year appointment, yes. Okay, and then we'll have to get a copy of that to the RDA. Oops, this came off. Then we have another resolution. This is kind of through the RDA, through the regional partnership. Well, and actually this money's through the Strategic Development Commission. Through the Mayor's Commissioners Caucus, we created a Strategic Development Commission that created a $30 million line item in the state budget for Northeast Indiana. So they earmarked some money for housing. There was for early child care, different things. There's a bunch of money that they earmarked, and some's housing. So what they did recently was they decided to take it by population in Northeast Indiana and divide up the money that was set for housing. And we have to, all the cities and counties have to opt into the program. And it can be used for pre-construction, it's a pre-construction grant program to support pre-development activities for housing activation. So basically there's money set aside for every city and county in Northeast Indiana, but you have to opt in, and then someone has to take the class to to help facilitate that here in the county. And Colton Bickle from Economic Development is going to do that. So Colton Bickle will be our person from our county, but we have to, by resolution, opt into the program. So, any questions about that? So basically, the money's already set aside. If the city or county decides not to opt in, the money goes back to Northeast Indiana and gets redistributed to other cities and counties. I think I'd have to look at the exact number. I think for the city of Decatur, it's around $90,000. I think for the county, it's 200 and some thousand.
So how is it used?
So if say you have a developer that's looking at a project, they can come and ask for some of the funding for pre-construction. So it can be purchasing land, it can be environmental remediation, things like that, all pre-construction. So they can't use it to build their structure, but anything pre-construction.
Like architectural, and within the resolution, it specifically states that architectural and engineering services, zoning and permitting costs, environmental assessments or remediation, master planning and urban design, surveying, land acquisition deposits, legal and project management services, and other eligible activities approved by SDC.
It's be a real asset, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's good for developers to help get some housing going. So, I guess we will take a motion to read resolution.
Introduce
introduce
resolution
resolution.
2025-15.
I move to introduce resolution 2025-15 by short title only. Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Decatur opting in to the Housing Optimizers Pre-Construction Grant Program to support pre-development activities for housing activation.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-15.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. So now the county will do the same thing, and then that money will be available for the city and the county. Okay. Next we have Tim, here to give a presentation on some grant funding for trails. Trail planning, I think.
Yeah, alright. I have 11 copies, so I don't think the press, and this will also be up on the PowerPoint, up on the TV, so there you go.
Thank you.
Just fine. Alright. I got two for you guys to share. Sorry about that. Alright, well, I guess just to start out with, Decatur has been extremely successful over the years as far as planning for trails and putting them in. I mean, you look at all the trails that we have in the city, we've done a lot to be proud of, and that's, kudos to, every one of you as well as previous councils and leadership as well, so thank you for that. But in talking with Dan here, we sat down and we started talking about this, and there still seems to be a desire to do even more as far as trails and walkability and bikeability for the city of Decatur. So this is a grant program that's put on by the Indiana Department of Health, and everybody, you can see it up there on the screen as well. It is a planning grant. The Department of Health does this on a fairly regular basis, and it is a competitive grant, and we're understanding there may be 4 or 5 awards this year statewide, so it is extremely competitive. So, if it is something that Decatur would like to pursue, we'll definitely put our best foot forward, or I'll assist as much as I can in putting our best foot forward and trying to do our best to get this grant. If you'll flip it to the next screen. The grant really wants to deliver one thing, because it is the Department of Health. The biggest part they want to deliver is improving the health of Indiana residents. I mean, it's the Department of Health, that's what they want to do. The deliverables, though, that would be delivered to the city of Decatur as part of this planning grant, of course there will be an evaluation of everything that's been done before. But not only the pathways and everything that's been done, but the entire network, which are sidewalks, the roads, crossings, everything that has to do with pedestrian and bicyclist would be evaluated as part of this plan. There will be some policy and programming, evaluation, looking at, what are some of the policies that Decatur has and how they apply to bikeability and walkability. There would be a prioritization that would take place as part of the recommendation, obviously putting together a shopping list of some of the improvements that would need to be made. An action plan, a 5-year action plan would take place. And then there would be a lot of public input. One of the requirements that they really stress as part of this grant is the need for public input. So that would be a big part of the process. And the formation of a plan advisory committee, which would actually be made up of representation from 5 different groups in the city of Decatur. I think that'll be relatively, and it could be anything from the schools to the Chamber of Commerce to the Park and Rec to the council to the senior center, Council on Aging. Just go through the list of possibilities that would benefit from a bikeability and a walkability, process here in Decatur. So if you'll go ahead and hit the program funding, you already beat me to it. It is a $20,000 grant, up to $20,000, and for a city, because Decatur is over 5,000 in population, at a minimum, a $20,000 match would be required. So basically, it's a dollar for dollar match. If you're under 5,000, we're working with the town of Markville, for instance, and there is no match requirement. Now, one of the things I will say is that because this is a competitive grant, we're going to do everything we can, to make Decatur as attractive as possible. So we're hopefully going to be able to bring in the overall, let's say Decatur says, yeah, we'll put $20,000 into it. Let's make, if we can make that grant the program a $30,000 grant, that gives you more points as far as the scoring. But that is all down the road as far as, what's going to be required. Right now, what I'm basically doing is saying, here's an opportunity. Is this something we want to pursue? So if you flip to the next page, how do we approach this? Basically, with Avamarch, one of the ways that we approach this with communities is using GIS, using digital services to create the maps, create the assessment tools, to create the strategy. And that's what we would probably be proposing here. We would work within your existing GIS system so it would help enhance what you already have as far as GIS. And you're using GIS in utilities and mapping and things like that. So it's a natural addition to what the city of Decatur already has. We spoke with the Department of Health, and based upon this, our approach is what you see here. The very first thing we would do is basically map all the existing infrastructure that's in the city of Decatur. And I'm not going to go through the shopping list that you see in front of you or up on the screen, but you can see anything that has to do with walkability and bikeability in the city. So, existing bike lanes, sidewalks, crosswalks, the entire list. So anything having to do with, people walking or using their bikes, we would create an inventory of that. The next thing we would do, flipping to the next one, is map all of what we call catchment points. Basically, these are the magnets, the gathering spaces, the places where people go. So it's the downtown, it's the school, it's the hospital, it's the churches, it's Hannah-Nutman Park, all the parks and what have you. Because every one of those, people want to get to those places. So, and a lot of people want to walk or bike to those places. So we create a map as part of this layered structure of all these, what we call catchment points within the city of Decatur. The next thing we would map, flip to the next one, is every population center. So for instance, Stratton, Homestead, just go through the entire list, almost creating what they call a heat map of the population of Decatur. So, because you can see what we're trying to do is map everything we have, and then we're going to start looking at how we put it all together. And that's what the next slide starts talking about. What we will actually do is analyze the streets in Decatur as far as the level of stress that they have relating to being walkable or bikeable. Let me give you an example. When Susie and I walk, we walk a lot, and we like to walk Monroe Street, all right? Now, I can tell you Monroe Street is a more stressful street to walk than Madison Street, okay? And why is that? Well, you've got semis that are 3 feet away from you. You've got, a lot of traffic. You've got proximity. The walking path is right next to the street. Those type of things. People will not travel a certain path because of perception of stress. So people are not gonna walk 13th Street, you know, obviously, because they perceive it to be unsafe, but they're more than happy to walk 2nd Street, you know, or whatever it may be. So what this starts to do is look at every combination that's possible to get people from part A to, or place 1 to place 2. And what is the likely path that they would take because of stress? And then the second one you can see on the screen is because of distance. You know, Matt's probably not gonna walk out to Walmart. It's a little bit of a distance, okay? But you might be more likely to walk to downtown because it's a reasonably walkable distance. You know, for instance, using that as an example. And so you look at what's the catchment area of these various assets, the hospitals, the parks, and what have you. And you look at, you know, what is this quote unquote stress level at each one of these streets, you know, each one of these paths, each one of these ways that people can get from point A to point B. You know, how do they fit together? And flip the page, then we look at, you know, based upon that, then we start creating the plan. You know, we look at the needs, we look at the gaps, we look at the forecast demands on various routes, and we start prioritizing projects. Now, one of the things that we do as part of this process is we also look at what are the future plans, you know, for the community. Like Decatur, for instance. You know, Dan and I, we talked a lot about the railroad behind Schermeyer to the south of Schermeyer, I think it was.
It'd be to the west of
To the
Sherman.
west, yeah, to the west, you know, of Schermeyer Street, you know, and how that really seems to be in prime shape to be, you know, a wonderful path to get you from, Adams Street out to Winchester.
Almost the jail, yeah.
Yeah, or the jail area, yeah. So those become part of that priority as well. What are some of the needs and wishes of the community? And so we do that as part of this entire mapping process. And then what I did say earlier, public participation is going to be extremely important. We would propose, you know, to not only do it through public meetings, as you can see here, but through the website. We would actually probably create a page within the city's website if that's what the city would so desire. You know, that informs the public of the process that's taking place. And in fact, you know, even to the right there, the darker blue rectangle thing with the pie shape or the pie chart and what have you, we would actually report the findings. It would be a wonderful way to communicate to the public what is going on, but also there would be a lot of public participation as part of that, and that is a requirement of the grant. And so finally, you know, going to the next page, the final recommendations are the plan. It's creating a prioritization, it's creating an actual mapping, you know, system that shows these are the planned improvements over the next 5 years. We would have estimated costs associated with those recommendations, an implementation schedule, as you can see, the plan advisory committee, and then also one of the things we do a lot in our planning is create what we call these pedestrian toolkits, which are basically recommendations on what to do in various situations. Flipping then to the last page of final recommendations is the mapping itself, and we would actually create a read-only program, you know, that could possibly be put on the website that the public can access. But the beauty of it is that this is something the city can change at whenever you want. So you may have a discussion that says, hey, we really need to be looking at this area, or, you know, we now have this new development, how do we get people from point A to point B? So it's not a static plan by any means. It's a tool that you use within your existing GIS that allows you to make changes as the situation changes here in Decatur. And then finally, on the adoption page, you will have to, the requirement, or the grant requirement is that you then amend it to the city's comprehensive plan, and then you can put it onto your park and recreation master plan as well. And I note, you know, the master plan, you know, there. So I think it's a great opportunity for the city of Decatur to look at how to even do more with the walking paths and the biking paths for the city of Decatur. When I saw this, I immediately thought of a lot of the conversations that Dan and I have had over the years, and some of you as well over the years. And then that's why I reached out to Dan earlier late last week, and we talked through this. So I'm here to tell you of the opportunity. If it is something that you would like to pursue, I'm also more than willing to work with, you know, whoever, you know, I'm guessing, you know, we might be, you know, talking a little bit, or whoever it is as part is putting this grant together, but I think it's a great opportunity for the city. Be willing to answer any questions that you may have.
Do we already have a plan that shows possible trail connectivity throughout the city?
Your parks plan does show some lines and what have you. You've implemented quite a few of those. We would actually integrate that into this. What it doesn't do is talk about like, oh, and something, and this brings up another good point. This fully complies with the Safe Streets for All program and the Safe Routes to School program. So it does open you up for some other funding opportunities. So yeah, you do have a plan as part of your parks plan that does show, and it actually, that's part of it there, but it does show quite a few of the routes that you've already created. So you are, yeah, Scott, you do have a previous plan. And like I started out with, the kids have been great as far as not taking that plan, throwing it on a shelf. I mean, you guys have done a great job. You guys have done a great job of implementing quite a few of those recommendations.
When is the deadline for this?
14th of November.
Oh.
They make it very quick, so, yeah, 10 days from today, so.
And then the redevelopment commission, they have a plan in place too, don't they? Or they've been working with,
Well, they did work with Butler Fairman on the 13th Street, so that would be integrated into it, yeah, 13th Street, and actually, part of that discussion, and if you look in that plan that redevelopment put together, there are a couple lines drawn. I think there's one that's drawn down Monroe Street that says a possible way to connect downtown to 13th Street, I think, which, now, if we go back to the stress index type concept, I think we really have to revisit that. And what I've always said about that plan, it's more of a conceptual. We need to get people from here to there. It doesn't necessarily say this is the right way to do it, but you're right, yeah, Abby. The redevelopment commission is part of that 13th Street project, so that would be integrated into the plan as well.
is there additional monies if this is adopted and you put together this plan? Are there additional grant money that assists with implementation or
Not for
execution?
design, not through the Department of Health. And that's where I think we'd then be looking at Safe Streets for All and what have you, or Safe Routes to School, which is part of the Safe Streets for All program. But no, not as part of, they were very clear this is a planning grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did they post this grant? Why are we giving it,
About a week
why are we
ago.
giving it 9 days to make a decision?
About a week ago. Yeah. I wish I had a better answer for you, Scott. I don't, yeah.
Hey, Tim, what's Avonmarsh? Is that a?
Evan Marsh is the company, is a consulting engineering firm, company I work for. Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne, okay.
So it's a matching grant, $20,000. Is that only put up if we were awarded?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, you'll sign no contracts unless you get the award. I mean, we're not gonna be putting a contract in front of you or anything. Now, once you're awarded, we hope you'll be kind enough to select us, and actually, you're not required to do that either.
We've been working on the walkability from Richards Road, whatever that is, to Walmart. What's the next phase of that?
So redevelopment commission is working on, from 500 down to Walmart. And I think the phase would be to keep on moving it along 13th Street where it makes sense.
Yeah.
Where you can actually fit walkways. But I think like one of them we were talking about with that railroad bed behind Schermeyer that was cleaned up from I&M. There's a rock base there. We like to have a trail there, and where does it go from there? I mean, if you can get that all the way to Walmart on that side too, then it connects all of Elm Street, Line Street, all that area to Walmart by, walkable or bikeable. So there's definitely different areas out there.
But I think it would also look at, and 13th Street, I mean, we prioritized the areas when I was on redevelopment, what we would want to hit. The first one was basically from Bowman to Walmart. Next is down at, is it Washington that gets you over to Hannah Nutman? Something that, because that was one of those other pinch point areas. But yeah, on what you touched on, yeah, it connects not only, Walmart now to the possible of downtown and what have you, but then entire
Right.
you know, that whole area there.
I mean, I would love to see at some point our existing trail system here connect all the way to the Rev complex. You know, that way kids could get there on their bikes, you know, in a safe route. And we don't really have a true route for that right now, but
This tries to look at, that stress level is really a very interesting approach that's been used in quite a not just by us, but in quite a few different situations. But it seems to make a lot of sense intuitively as I started, you know, really looking into this more.
so in the grant application, what all is competitive? Obviously, it's whatever your match is part of it, but what else? What are they looking for?
There are a series, I'll tell you what, I do have this. There are a series of 5 questions that they ask for. I've got 10 of these, so
We can share.
okay, there you go. These are some of the things that would be required as part of the grant application. Sorry, I gotta keep one so I can read something. Yeah, the reading cover there, but those 5 questions there really are some of the key things that they focus on. So, you know, the general information, how does it contribute to achieving the vision that you want? How does it address the health needs? But a lot of it is making sure you've got those community members, you know, as part of this process. And so I just listed possibilities, not saying these who they need to be. It's simply a suggestion from my viewpoint, is who could be some of these community members that would write a letter of support and then and what have you. So the things they look at, Dan, is, you know, I think the success that communities have had previously in implementing plans, because they don't want it, they made it very clear, they just don't want the plan to sit on a shelf. And I think Decatur scores extremely high as far as that. Are you ready to start moving forward? Now, you're not contractually bound to start moving forward, but are you ready to start moving forward? And when I hear conversations like what I'm hearing, you know, not just even right now, it tells me that Decatur wants to continue to move forward, you know, when the possibility is there. And then, now like you said, the match. I think you would score better if it's a $30,000 study if you still put in the $20,000. Or if it's a $40,000, then it's 50-50, or whatever it might be. But I think you would score better, you know, if the match is better than a 1-to-1 match.
And I have, I was down for an Indiana Trails meeting down in Indianapolis last fall, and like talked to the Department of Health people, and they do. I mean, they introduced this grant to me last year, but I didn't know when it was going to come out or anything. But obviously, that's what their goal is to make the state healthier. You know, so they're offering these grants.
And they do it on a, if not annual, at least every other year.
Yeah.
You know, they do it fairly regular. So if you would choose not to do it this year, you'd be better positioned for next year, you know, or whatever it might be. But I saw this as an opportunity when it came across my desk last week, and, you know, the mayor was one of the first people I thought of. And it's a short drive for me to get over.
Right.
Hey, Tim, this just began this year?
No, they've been doing this for quite a few
How
years.
about you know when it's like roughly?
I don't know, Eric. For some reason, I think I saw a report, and I can clarify that they've done it for at least 10.
At least 10 years.
I may not be 100% accurate, but I think I'm close to that.
So I think ballpark.
You can say several years.
So Tim, everything, if we were awarded this and then we're matching the 20,000 or more, that is all just planning
It's just plain.
and nothing is actually implemented until further down the road when we put more money forth.
You're exactly right. This is just a planning grant. At least this portion of it. So your match and the 20,000 or whatever it ends up having to be. Yeah, it is just a planning grant.
I would just question, like, if we already have maybe some existing plans, do we need more planning? Do we need to use more city money to do more planning? I don't know.
That
I
was
appreciate you
where my
bringing
rub
this.
is do we take $20,000 and invest it in another plan, or do we take the smart people in the room and say, here's $20,000, make this trail better?
those are options that you all can choose. You know, this plan does look at a lot more than just putting a new path in that's high maintenance. I mean, it looks at every sidewalk that we have, every shared use, you know, route that is, when I mean shared route use, it's the automotive plus the bikes and what have you. I mean, it looks at crossings, it looks at the entire package, and tries to create the most efficient route to get you from point A to point B based upon what people are likely to use, the routes they're likely to take, and the distance, as well as the needs that you already have. But no, that's a great point, Scott. But, you know, as you also well know, grants for doing the work also require you to
Have a plan.
have a plan. So it is, Jenny, it's a
Right.
50-50. Yeah, it's a sort of catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good point.
You know, I don't know if you guys wanna, I mean, I don't know who's looked at the trail plan right now in a while. Maybe you guys wanna pull that out and look at it and see how much work it needs, and if, whether you wanna apply for the grant, or you wanna wait till the next round, or you even wanna talk to an engineering firm about updating the plan we have. And those are some of the options you have. I do, like, I would love to see more trails, extended throughout more areas of the city, but whatever the steps are, and that's kinda your guys' choice.
Would you like to see this plan happen now, or do you think what we have is sufficient? We do our own work? Do we need it updated? I'm not real sure the answer.
You know, I don't think I was a part of much of the plan. I think that last 5-year parks plan was finished right when I was starting, I think, if I remember right.
Sure, there's one that's, the one I could find is 2012 on the website. There's been one since then.
Yeah,
isn't there?
I think when I started in 2020, they were just finishing up a 5-year master plan for parks. Now, I don't know what part of trails, how much trails was in it, but it had a park, that was the park plan.
That was the one I found on the website, on the city website.
Okay.
So because usually you do it every 5 years.
Yeah, I
so
think there was one done in 19 and 20, I think is when it was done.
that's good to know.
I would definitely like to see more trails as well. I think, well, trails, but also even like you said, safety of people being able to walk around town, feel safe. I don't like the time crunch of just 9 days. I know that, yeah, I know that's not, but I think I would like to wait and maybe do some more looking into what we do have, what we've already planned for, and then consider it maybe.
What's the ask? Just to apply for it?
All you're doing right now is applying for the grant.
We're not accepting the grant for.
You're not accepting it.
I mean, you might waste some time if you
You
want to
won't.
get it, but I mean,
For the, you know, it's nothing is a waste of time. You know, one of the best things this city did way back when was that grant program through the state of Indiana, and that was just a springboard for so many great things that we've done since then. When did we do that? 10, 15 years ago?
The Stellar Cities.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. So nothing like this is ever a wasted, quote unquote, waste of time, because it always is causing you to, you know, to step back and look at things.
So what you're saying is you could apply for it.
yeah, we don't have to.
And then
You
you're,
get it, you gotta take, well, you don't have to take
You
it.
don't have to.
But then you
Yeah, that's
also
true.
said we're more likely to get it if we put forth more than
If you
50-50.
would in your application state that, you know, you're matching it with more than 50%, you're gonna get more points, no doubt. Grants are typically that way.
so it wouldn't have to be a 2020. I mean, you could still put up 20 and only go after a $30,000 grant, right?
Or $10,000 grants.
Or
maybe a
$10,000 grant. I mean,
study.
30
Yeah,
total,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's up to you. I wanted to present the opportunity because I saw it come across my desk
Right.
last week.
I appreciate you reaching out. I
No,
mean,
no worries.
that's just up to you guys whether you want to, if you want to look at it more and decide later. I mean, to do something later, or if you want to jump into this right now. That's up to you guys.
I would like to wait. I don't know that we're voting on it. Are we voting on anything really here?
Well, there's not any motions that have been
Yeah.
made to move forward with applying for the grant. And that's essentially what would be required, some form of affirmative action to move in the direction of the application process, so. At this point. So wait.
Is that a consensus, or is anyone else?
Any further discussion?
I don't have a problem applying unless someone thinks it's gonna hurt applying. I'm not saying that I'm willing to accept it, to put up $20,000. I mean, you can try, but that gives you 9 to 10 days or whatever to look at the trail program and then decide. It's no money out of our pocket unless you think it's gonna hurt our chances in the future.
Future, does that look bad if you apply for grants and they give it to you, you say no?
I would say
It
that's
wouldn't look,
probably not gonna
it wouldn't
shine.
look good.
Yeah.
And we would have to
Right.
decide how much we're willing to put forth.
Exactly. You do need to make a decision about the level of match that you would.
Cause that would go into the application, so you'd have to pretty much commit to it, and then if you decide not to do it, you're pulling it back, so.
I mean, perhaps you know, maybe it sounds to me, maybe the best approach is to take a look at this and, know that this is something we wanna do, or you wanna do, but give us some time, give the community some time, to, just really step back and say, okay, what is our best approach? Maybe this is, maybe this isn't, perhaps that might be the best thing to do. I understand, like I said, my role is to, show you an opportunity, and your role is to make the right decision.
I just know during Dan's tenure, Ken's, and maybe even back to Mayor Schultz, that it has been on the table to try to finish walkability to Walmart. And there's been some steps made. It's very expensive to get there, but I'd like to, as a city, just be continually thinking on finishing that
Sure.
out. And if that's $20,000 at a time, or $50,000 when we can afford it, but it was a goal. It's really a goal to go clear down 13th Street, walkable. And we say there's not people walking it because it's not as walkable. There are people walking, I see them, in parts with no sidewalks.
So the plan, if the plan came back and it said 13th Street was a stress point to walk on,
Oh, it will, I can tell you that.
right? But then if a goal of ours is to make 13th Street walkable, and we go against what the plan
Well,
spits out.
there's other ways. You could move over to 12th Street. You're still going from north to south.
Yeah.
So maybe it's
So
too
the plan
stressful on
would
13th,
show
but you could shift over. I mean,
at
you're only
what point
talking
in
100
time.
feet to go to 12th Street.
Yeah, the plan
Fail.
reflects current conditions. Okay, so, if ultimately, it's still, ultimately the recommendation is still to have a 13th Street corridor, exactly what Dan said. It may not necessarily need to be 13th Street. That's what I've always said about that Butler-Fairman study, is it's not telling us it has to be right along 27. It's telling us it has to get us from point A to point B.
Sure.
We talked about that, small road behind, or on the, what would that be, the east side of Hannah Nutman. That little road that's behind Mark's Strip and, what have you.
The alleyway.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. Or maybe it's being on the east side of 22nd. That's part of that, what is the best possible route? Yeah, so that's one of those things you gotta look at.
I'm good on passing for now.
But I think with this brought to our attention, I think we need to get the plan out and start looking at it and see what
Yeah,
we want to look at and where we want to go.
I think it's a great resource to know about. And you said it's pretty much,
It sounds like it's annual.
It sounds like it's
So, and if it
annual.
pops up, or if other opportunities, we keep waiting for the notice on the safe routes for school, and we keep waiting for that, or safe streets for all. We think spring of next year, we probably should hear about another announcement on that. So
Right.
there's always other opportunities. Yeah, this is one, and maybe by this time next year, once we, get the plans out and start looking at, it, maybe in a better position. So,
Sure.
no, but I appreciate your time, though.
I appreciate you bringing it to our
yeah,
attention.
it's good information.
Thank you all very much.
All right, thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay, I forgot that we had some special guests here and they haven't had a chance to introduce themselves. I know they're waiting to do that. So we will start with name and grade.
Hi, my name is Michael Shamden, and I'm in 10th grade. My name's Quinn Buchanan, I'm a senior. My name's Ashton Ballman, and I'm a junior.
My name's Maya Schilmer, I'm a junior. My name's Lindsay Thompson, I'm a sophomore.
Hey, thanks for being here. Okay. Next we have 2026 and 2027 CDIP plan discussion and ordinance.
Okay, so I handed out a packet for all of you. It has every 2 years we have to create a capital improvement plan. The last one that was created was back in 23 for years 24 and 25. And now we have to create one in 25 for years 26 and 27. Ann and I went back and forth a little bit, and she thought it would be a good idea to bring this to council's attention. Maybe getting some ideas for future plans with the improvement ideas. I also included the budget for CDIT. Next year's budget is $1,105,000 or $1,105,000. You can see there that most of it is allocated to different things, but there is $410,000 right now for next year that is just capital improvement and economic development projects. I had emailed you, I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago, maybe just to come up with some ideas, we can brainstorm a little bit. Ann, is there anything else you would like to elaborate on this? We just thought it would be a good idea to kind of have everyone brainstorm maybe some ideas.
Exactly.
Moving forward, what we would like to see this money used for.
We kind of took a pause on Second Street to the north of Monroe to finish the roundabout project. So that's one area I think should be in on discussion.
So if you see on the budget for next year, there's $400,000 allocated for the Second Street improvement, and that would be north.
So that's in there for next year.
That is in there for next year. Yep.
We had a meeting at the Riverside Center on park improvement possibility at the riverfront, north of Monroe. Everybody picked the plan they liked, and then that group was gonna come back to us with some more numbers. Another project was the other side of the road at First and Monroe, a housing possibility project. Where are we with that study?
It's still out there. I think some priorities have changed a little bit with the county looking at filling the annex or the county building with the gymnasium, putting the courts in there. We're hoping to see the city and county to work together on some kind of a recreation facility, gymnasium space, gymnastic space, stuff like that. I think that's a necessity. If that's going to be taken away, I think we need to us and the county together need to help provide something for residents. So we have been looking at a facility. So I think leaving this capital improvement and economic development project in there would be a smart idea, because hopefully something comes out of this. I think as we just heard, Force volleyball, I think they're up to, I forget the number of teams, it's insane how many, and they're looking for gym space constantly. So I think we know, we've heard it from community members that indoor recreation is needed, and so I really think we need to focus on that pretty soon here.
So those discussions are more just like court space, like to host tournaments and such, or?
For Force? No, they're looking for a place to practice.
I mean, it's not like a gym like we have right over here, or Anytime Fitness or anything like that has like equipment in it.
Oh
It's
no,
more
we're
just
gymnasium space.
It's more gymnasium space.
Right,
Oh.
but it could be multiple. It could be basketball and volleyball, and it could be pickleball and different things like that. So
Okay.
I think it's much needed, and you're seeing every other city create indoor
Yeah.
recreation places.
Similar to like we went to that meeting with Dr. Coates and.
Yep, yep,
Mhm.
yep.
Okay.
I think, again, just saying, I think that this is something, it's a high priority right now, I think. Especially with, if that gym space is gonna be taken,
So you're gonna make it offices
Make the courts.
court system,
or the court?
one of the courthouses will be, or that's the plan, is to put it in there. They're doing, I think they're doing another, basically a feasibility study to see what it's gonna cost to put it in there.
Eliminate the gym, eliminate
The weightlifting area and
Weightlifting
everything.
In gymnastics, and I think we should, help them or team up to partner in
then there's the,
finding something else.
the county will have to decide, is it their job to provide recreation as well, since they're taking it away?
Right.
And if they do, then we wanna partner with them to build
I
a
think-
collaborative city-county use.
Members of the steering committee for the judicial committee have said they want to replace what they would be taking away.
Yeah, it was strongly
Yep.
supported that there should be some type of a replacement mechanism if the judicial center was now being kind of focused at the service complex versus other alternatives that had been considered, so.
As mayor, do you have other priorities?
I can come up with all kinds of things. But there's only so much money, right? But I mean, I think everyone knows where I stand on parks, you know, whether it's outdoor parks, indoor recreation trails. I mean, I'm all about those amenities for our residents.
And part of this plan also, we already have 100,000 allocated to parks improvements, and that'll be for the next 2 years. So that's 200,000 over the next 2 years.
Yep. I mean, one of the things that we did recently was update the disc golf out at Kikianga. I think your brother has an app that he showed me that prior to this moving it to 18 holes and redoing the tee pads and the signs and all the things that have happened, they were getting around 30 rounds a month, and then now they're getting close to 150 rounds a month of people playing. I've been out there twice, and the people have been from miles away that are coming to play. They travel and play these different things. So those kind of things I think are great.
Is the men's softball, Kikianga completed?
Their
I know
scoreboard
that's
went
a
up. Scoreboard went up like 2
process.
weeks ago, I think, Matt, right? And I think everything's pretty much done now, right? Yeah.
They were very patient with the city.
Yes. Yep.
Cause we, over years, they were displaced, and, thank them for their patience in
Right.
getting that, working through
Right.
the flood
And I-
mitigation and all that to be able to put it down there.
And I think
Took a
they're
lot longer than anybody thought it would.
right, and they're happy with the facilities they have now. I
Good.
think, especially with the scoreboard being up now.
Good.
I think if any of you individually would like to add to this list or see, let us know what you'd like to see detailed on there, feel free to set up meetings with me and we'll sit down and talk about it. But I appreciate you guys bringing this to everyone's attention, and it's definitely a 2-year plan that we need to take seriously.
And really, the ordinance is something that we have to upload and, to Gateway, and it's, an intention on how lit funds are to be allocated and utilized by the city over a 2-year period of time. And so, every 2 years, we're renewing and reviewing this, and, Aaron had provided ordinance 2023-22, which kind of shows what the 24-25 plan was and how those funds would be allocated, and then what's currently budgeted for next year and how those are gonna be allocated for use. So really, we're following a similar pattern, or what's being proposed is following a very similar pattern to what we've been doing over the last couple of years. Really, the primary question, I think, is there's about $400,000 that is presently available for capital improvement and economic development. Does council want that amount to be earmarked for that type of a project, or do council members have a specific project or line item kind of list of projects for consideration otherwise? So that's really the crux of it. There's about $400,000 that could be more specialized if that is what's desired by council.
But all of the projects we just talked about would fit into that capital improvement and
Or
economic
it can be
development.
left broad.
Exactly.
Right.
Or it can be left broad.
Is there a plan for the sewer district's Quonset hut building?
Um,
On that, we have our stuff in their building, or?
I
Oh,
believe that's addressed for the most part.
so we have mostly everything out of there now, right?
Oh,
But there still is a need for a building, I think. Right now, they have everything scattered in other buildings around, so there probably is a need for a building still down at Elm Street.
Is this old Mark's building, is it getting incorporated in the next project plans, or, I mean, is there stuff in that building still, or? I mean, that thing's
Most-
usually come down for,
Right, most of it's been taken out now, right? There's still, I think there's some things in there now that you,
There's still some things, but we're planning on using some of that for storage as well, too.
right. So the one side, the south side of it, they're using for storage. That's where some of the stuff went that was in the, well, the Parks building down there, yeah. So I think right now, I think the goal of Matt's team is to figure out what all space they need. I think, the ask months ago was just build another building. And I remember Craig on Board of Works saying, find out what you have and what space you need, and then we'll figure out what building we actually need. So get everything put away down there the best you can, then we'll decide what space is actually needed.
I personally like it broad, unless anybody has a strong opinion otherwise.
I agree.
Do we wanna do the first reading on the ordinance then?
Did you have it
17.
17. I have it
mapped out
mapped
based
out
on?
based on next year's budget, and then the following, leaving that capital, there's like 1.4 million there that will encompass the different projects, that are specifically laid out next year, but moving forward, we will have to budget that then for 27.
So, I mean, really, if council would entertain introducing ordinance number 2025, what are we at?
17.
17.
Can I ask something real quick?
What's that?
Is this 2 years worth here? Is that what that is?
It is.
So the facade, okay, so it's 25,000 per year.
It is 2 years worth.
Okay, that's 2 years. This is showing year by year.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, this essentially doubles
Right. Yep.
that.
I move to introduce ordinance 2025-17 on its first reading by short title only.
A second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Ordinance number 2025-17, a capital improvement plan for the city of Decatur for calendar years 2026 and 2027.
I make a motion to pass ordinance 2025-17 on its first reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Jenny Bauer Schultz.
Yes.
Matt Dyer.
Yes.
Tyler Fulenkamp.
Yes.
Scott Murray.
Yes.
Abby Wilder.
Yes.
I make a motion to table ordinance 2025-17 until our next meeting on November 18th.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Table till the 18th, or the 18th. Okay, next we have, ordinance says clarification of police and fire vacation time.
Mm-hmm. So yes. There was an amendment to, let's see, 2024-12, which, spoke to police and firefighters relief pay, and vacation time. Wendy and Chief Sheets had, discussed with me some ambiguity or clarifications requested in one of the sections, of that prior ordinance, just to address and make it very clear how regular firefighters serving in relief of, other firefighters on vacation or sick leave were to be paid, and then how holiday duty compensation is to be treated. So we're really looking at amending two sections of ordinance 2024-12. It's sections C1 and C2, to address that purpose. And, that information has been reviewed by Jeff, by Chief Sheets and Wendy both. So just need an ordinance to make those amendments to how they're paid. Not changing anything about the pay structure itself, it's just clarifying the language.
I make a motion to introduce ordinance 2025-18 on its first reading by short title only.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Ordinance 2025-18, an ordinance of the City of Decatur Common Council amending ordinance 2024-12, C1 and C2 regarding time for regular firefighters and working in relief.
I make a motion to pass ordinance 2025-18 on its first reading.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call vote?
Jenny Bauer Schultz,
Yes.
Matt Dyer,
Yes.
Tyler Fulenkamp,
Yes.
Scott Murray,
Yes.
Abby Wilder,
Yes.
I make a motion to table ordinance 2025-18 until our next meeting on November 18th.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Anything else? We talked about, speaking a little more about Mayor Schultz tonight and doing a resolution. We would like to invite a few of the family members here when we do it, and I don't think tonight was the right night since the funeral was today. So we will do this in 2 weeks in the next meeting. We'll have a resolution for John, and hopefully have a couple family members here.
Good call.
Do you have anything else? Department heads. Chief Gerber.
Well, we had a pretty busy weekend with trick-or-treaters at the police department. I think we gave out almost as much candy as the fire department. They just gave out better candy.
Always a contest.
It was real successful. It was nice weather for trick-or-treating. Saturday, we had our first part of our hiring process. We're down to 9 applicants now. That will start reviewing their backgrounds. That's everything.
I was there to see the agility test Saturday morning. I didn't partake.
Heard someone else in your family?
My son did. And he did well, but he was a little sore the rest of the day. But it was good to watch everyone do it and to see our officers do it. A bunch of them did it too. So
Yeah, so it's a new visible standard that's been put out by the law enforcement academy that goes into effect next August. So it's like, it's completely different than anything we've been used to. It's an obstacle course. It's not as easy as it looks. I did it, and it's definitely more challenging than what it was on here.
I think you have a couple people up here that might want to try it. So if you ever set it up again.
You see how his head worked that way?
What are you talking about?
I lean this way. I nodded this way.
Come on, look at us. We can do it. Why are you laughing?
Chief Sheets.
We had our first round of interviews last night. Excuse me, we interviewed 6. I'm hoping to get it down to 4 before we go into our peer interviews, which are other chiefs around the area that'll come in that don't know any of the applicants and ask questions. So we get a true reading on what and how they feel about the current applicants.
Okay.
That's all I have after that. Other
Okay.
than they hand out 50-cent pieces for trick or treat.
Okay. Kurt.
Our ordinal GIS are up and running now. Here on out is just building and implementing whatever information we want to put in. We have meetings tomorrow to discuss another program for the website. And we have replaced our maps
Saw that.
as of yesterday. So the last map was from 2012. So now the whole city is on the map.
Good. Good. Thank you. Aaron. Jamie. Matt, welcome.
I just would like to say a personal thing that the fire and police today were very great. Council members, you've been very gracious today through the last 2 or 3 days. It's been long 3 days. I'm very tired. Dan, thanks for what you did today. Just really grateful. I know the family's very proud.
Thank you for that. Again, I want to reiterate, thank you to police and fire for the procession today. It was really nice. It was definitely what John deserved. So it was a great procession. Carrie. Okay. Council members. Aaron. Dan. Okay.
Make a motion to pay the claims.
Second.
Motion and second to pay the claims. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.